Good Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Victor, you can
I'm
put
here
work
as
away
well.
now. You can put work away. You can put work away now,
Yeah? Okay.
or maybe not. I don't know.
This is public. I will use this as excuse later on.
Oh, okay, good. Hi, everybody. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor, and we are the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox that releases on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, and on Fridays when we're around, which I want to talk about last week, we do this live stream talking about things of the week. And one thing we've been doing recently is doing some AI things towards the end. And we have some more AI things this week that may or may not be interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Victor, last week you were in Hawaii.
I was in Hawaii. I was more traveling towards and from Hawaii than in Hawaii, but yes.
So how long did it take you to get from where you are to Hawaii?
Close to
4 hours.
That's furthest you can get from my home. When I was booking tickets, I was offered both. You can go east, you can go west. Same thing. Equally far away. No difference.
How many stops did you have to make to get to Hawaii?
2 stops, 3 planes.
That's not too bad.
Nah, not too bad. I mean, you need to get to the west coast of US, and from there on, it's Seattle, Hawaii direct flight.
Right. Did you stop on the East Coast as well? Is that what you or?
No, London and then Seattle and then Hawaii.
That London-Seattle leg sounded long.
Yeah, it was long. But I was fortunate that I was upgraded to the business class, so I had a bed. I had fully horizontal experience.
Very, very nice. So, how was Hawaii in general? That was your first time there. So how was it?
I haven't seen Hawaii. I've seen Honolulu only.
Oh, okay.
And Honolulu, it feels like you're in California.
Yeah.
Honestly, if nobody told me, if somebody told me you just arrived to California, I would say, yeah, that sounds just about right, yes.
Okay. And you got out right before the earthquake. That happened.
Right before the earthquake, yes. I missed that tourist experience.
All right. Martin, good to see you. Ingen, we've gone through that. Karen, good to see you. Nikos, hi. It's by the way, we're doing something different today. If you go over to Twitter or X or whatever you want, it's twitter.com, and go to DevOps Paradox. We're actually multicasting today. Not you. What are you doing, Victor?
I don't know. Lights go crazy.
Playing lights. Okay. Maybe people are hacking you and playing with lights. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's fine.
They don't work always. I don't know. I need to press many times to get it right.
Okay.
It will eventually work.
We're multicasting today just to test out some ideas for the future. We won't do it every week, but we're just going to do it this week. Let's go ahead and get into it because I want to get to the AI stuff that might be interesting to some people. It might not be. There was a lot of AI information that came out this week. The big one, which I didn't include, was the way the press has been putting it is like Google announced Gemini and Gemini Ultra or whatever, or Gemini Pro and Gemini Ultra, and then OpenAI says, hold my beer, and announced Sora last night.
To begin with, apart from announcing Gemini, in its long tradition, Google renamed Bard into Gemini. Right? Because that's what Google does, right? Change the name all the time. So the other day when I went to bard.google.com, I was silently redirected to gemini.google.com.
Yeah.
And it's not the last name of that service that we're going to get. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it because I do want to get to the end. Okay, so since we missed last week here live, we actually have a couple of we had last week's episode with Hadi. We were talking about commercial versus open source. That was an interesting conversation. And then this week was our 250th episode. And just like all of our Divide by 50s, we had Patrick on. And I've been following Patrick. And what's been interesting is we recorded this, Victor, probably early January, if I remember right. Probably right after break.
Something like that.
And everything we covered in this podcast recording, I was going, yeah, but it was still like blowing past me. Since that time to about now, it's like, oh, that's what he meant. That's what he's talking about. And now it's all sort of clicking. So, yeah, I'm the slow one around here, in case you haven't figured that out yet. But again, anytime we have Patrick on, it's always great to talk about whatever he's talking about. Now, his next episode is going to be the end of January next year, which means we're probably going to record him at the beginning of December of this year, just so I don't have to edit during the break. So again, that gap's going to be even bigger. So who knows what's going to happen. Okay, good to say. I have not played with that. Have you played with it yet? GPT script?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I haven't either. Sebastian, good to see you. Maz, good to see you here as well. So anyway, podcast Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. The one with Patrick. Oh, the other funny thing about this one, when we recorded it, was I lost internet right at the end. So I was gone. And then Victor's camera died. So then Patrick basically just takes over at the end. So if you haven't listened all the way to the end, you should listen to the whole episode. But even if you don't listen to the whole episode, go ahead and go to the end and listen how it all ends out. It's worth listening for that alone. But if you're trying to still get your head around AI stuff and how we would use it, go listen to Patrick. It's important. Some news that happened over the past couple of weeks. Weaveworks said adios, gone. In fact, when I went out to weave.works, it's now... Well, in fact, do you want to do it just to see what happens? So it's weave.works. And then it looks like that. Site not found.
You'll see a lot of those this year. I guarantee that.
That's what I'm thinking. So Weaveworks is officially shut down. And that's sad to hear. But things happen. Business is business.
Yeah. And Stefan, the person, the author of Flux, he's continuing to work on it. So the Flux, at least, it probably was the other name, the Flugger.
Yep.
Are going to continue.
Yep. So that's good to hear. Kubernetes 129 is now available at GKE. When we talked about it 2 weeks ago, AWS had it. Or 3 weeks ago, I think is when they had it out. So GKE's here. I haven't even checked on Azure yet. So everybody's getting to 129. Remember, all of these start to die off quickly after that. So 127, now's you're ending up at EOL on 127 now.
It's like limited time offer.
Every 4 months, it starts walking away. So anyway, time to upgrade if you're on GKE. You sent me this one talking about Sam Altman seeking trillions of dollars to reshape chips. Why did you send this to me other than it being just trillions of dollars?
I mean, that's the thing. It sounds so ridiculous, to be honest. Trillions of dollars. I mean, that's the amount of money that, apples of the world don't have. So no company or group of company could ever churn that money to finance research of something, right? It would need to be U.S. government kind of abandoning space program and putting it all into some Altman or something like that. It just did such a ridiculous figure. That's why I sent it.
Yeah. When I see trillions, and then I think about the U.S. debt being 34, 35, 36 trillion dollars. And
there you go. You can pay off all the debt, or you can give it to Sam.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Cloud without Kubernetes. I thought this was an interesting read. It was talking about using Cloud Run and why you really don't need Kubernetes. Going Kubernetes less. So just a good overview on this. There are reasons to run Kubernetes, but I bet for most of us, we don't need it.
I mean, I would reshape it differently, right? If you use services like Cloud Run and there are many others, then it's not, I don't care. Why would I care whether it's Kubernetes or something else, right?
Well, I think the argument here is you don't need to run your own Kubernetes cluster. And some people still think they need to run their own cluster. Or they need to be accessing a cluster directly versus, as we've always said, here's my container, go run it.
Exactly.
Or here's my image, go run it.
Now, the truth is also that I think that the smaller or the younger the company is, the better that fits, right? The bigger companies have special requirements, whatever that means, right? That tend to have difficulty fitting into models like that.
So anyway, another interesting article, another take on it. I tend to agree with it, but we had cloud before we had Kubernetes, and we'll have cloud after we've had Kubernetes. So
Oh yeah.
that's not going to... I mean, even before we had cloud, we had ISPs that had hosting services. Most people didn't have a web server in their house.
Exactly.
Big announcement. Nginx has forked. And it's now free Nginx.
Forked?
It has forked. The guy that...
Did they get completely disappointed? It was the F5, right?
Because of F5, yeah. That's what this post is here. So they have forked it as of this week. So the goal is to keep Nginx development free from arbitrary corporate actions. Help and contributions welcome. Hope it will be beneficial.
I mean, you know, Nginx and F5 is a mystery to me. Nginx was the ingress and networking solution that almost everybody adopted early days. It was everywhere. And then somehow it managed to be probably the least common solution we have today. Which is kind of strange. How could Nginx allow that?
Well,
I mean, I know how they allowed it. It's just how can you be so silly as to let that happen? To go from I'm the dominant player, I'm the facto standard, to nobody cares.
yeah. So we'll see how this plays out. Anyway, it's at freenginx.org. So another interesting fork. DotSlash, this is from Meta, like the Facebook guys. Simplified executable deployment. With open source DotSlash, a tool that makes large executables available in source control with a negligible impact on repository size. Large executables without impacting repository size. Bits are bits. I don't understand. But anyway.
In theory, it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have binaries together with the source code, right? Kind of the fact that we keep binaries somewhere else, like container images and binaries and what's not elsewhere, is mostly, I feel it's more like a limitation of source code repositories rather than logical separation.
I agree with that. Nice, simple website so far. You go into the introduction of how to use it, and off you go. Unfortunately,
Nice.
It's written in Node.js. I haven't dug into it yet because I've been doing AI things and not AI things. This is one of the things I was like, I'll take a look at it later. But anyway, that's .slash. It's always interesting to see, okay, we can bash on Meta all day long, but their engineering is second to none, in my opinion. It's just...
Oh, yeah.
It's the things that come out of Meta have been very interesting. Where am I at? Okay, here we go. This is a long read. As you can see, a 19-minute read. I am not going to read this. Almost every infrastructure decision I endorse or regret after 4 years of running an infrastructure at a startup. Picking AWS over Google Cloud, endorse. We'll look at a couple of these. EKS, endorse. EKS managed add-ons, regret. RDS, endorse. Redis Elasticache, endorse. ECR, endorse. So all these things make sense. AWS Premium Support, regret. But then you get down into more interesting things. Managing postmortems in Datadog or PagerDuty, regret. They go into the reasons why. Not using functions as a service more, regret. Could be interesting. GitOps, endorse. Multiple applications sharing a database, regret.
Oh, that's a big regret. That's a big one.
Not adopting an identity platform early on, Okta, the kind of stuff, regret.
Yeah.
This one was interesting. Endorsing Notion over Confluence, Google Docs, wikis, whatever. Okay.
Notion is, I don't use it much myself, but I'm still, in a tribal, I write readmes phase, but everybody I know who is just in love with it.
I'm not in love with it, but it serves a purpose for me right now, and I'm trying to move out of it, just because. Endorsing Slack, okay, because that's good. Thank God I don't have to use HipChat anymore. Well, HipChat is not available for use anymore. So, moving off of Jira onto Linear. Okay, we don't need the Jira bloat, his words. And lots of others. Great article to read. Take your time, grab an adult beverage, and just sit there and read it. It's a fun read. Oh, if you didn't go to FOSDEM 2 weeks ago, you missed this session. This session is now online. Most of the sessions are online from FOSDEM. So you think you know Git. After watching this, I realized I don't know jack about Git. And did you know about Git maintenance?
To be honest, I'm trying to avoid Git as much as... I mean, not avoid as if... No, I'm using Git all the time. But I never got around learning it for real. You know, beyond the, hey, add, commit, push, follow the instructions to resolve conflicts or to rebase. That's my level of Git, right? Never got deep into it.
So I would recommend watching this session. It's about 45 minutes. Really good. And then what's interesting is the team from GitButler, which I'll get to in a second, did some video at the front and video at the back and squeezed the presentation in the middle. So you ask yourself, what is GitButler? I'm so glad you asked. GitButler, so Scott, who does that presentation, is the CEO of GitButler. It's open source, Git branching refined. So you can actually move things around between branches, but it's not really branches, it's virtual branches.
Okay.
If anybody's old like me, and you remember a tool called AccuRev, do you remember AccuRev?
I remember the name, but now I cannot remember what it was.
So AccuRev gave you the concepts of being able to reparent your work onto different branches. This was before Git. AccuRev existed before Git. You had Subversion, you had AccuRev. At the time, this was the early 2000s, like before 2005. My recommendation said, look, if you don't have any money at all, go buy AccuRev. Especially if you're coming from like Visual Source Safe or RCS or CVS or even Subversion. Go to AccuRev because you can reparent things. It's like, oh, we actually need to put this change over here on this branch and move it around. I haven't played with this yet, but a lot of the wording tells me it's very similar to that concept. Now, AccuRev still exists. I believe Micro Focus bought them, but it would then change over to use Git under the hood. So it'll be interesting to see how different GitButler is or how same it is. If you're in Berlin too, the Merge conference is happening June 13th and 14th. The lineup there, are you going to that one? Did you get into that one?
Decision. I'm not going anywhere until Paris. Hawaii exception.
Yeah, but this was June. So June is
June.
after
Okay, now you're asking me too much to know in advance.
It's already closed anyway. So anyway, GitButler, this is what I'm going to look at over the next week. Ahmed, you remember Ahmed? He did kubectl and kubectl.
Oh yeah.
He did a new one.
Okay.
And it's kubectl pods on. It's a kubectl plugin to query a list of pods running on a node by name or node label selector. So do you want to know what pods are on a node? Now it's easy to do.
Yeah, that sounds very useful. I mean, easier. You get the list of pods running when you do kubectl describe node.
Right.
But that requires some Sherlock Holmes type of experience to track them down.
Yep. So it's just a new plugin. If you need to see what's running where, now you can do it. I like this right here. Git is easy if you don't need to change anything in your history. Yeah.
Exactly.
Why would you ever want to change anything in history? And yeah, and again, I'm sorry, I meant to bring this up. He regrets never using Pulumi. Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, let's go here. Apple, yes, that Apple open sourced a configuration language called Pickle. PKL, Pickle.
I played with it for a while.
Why? Why do we need yet another configuration language?
I'm not. Everybody kind of there is. Oh, this is XYZ killer. Maybe I didn't spend enough time with it, but I'm not impressed at all.
here's
especially like if you go to the quick start, which is nobody knows where. Probably if you
under-
scroll down, and then there is I see horrible. Somewhere there is
Here
a
it is.
quick start. There we go, or tutorial, right? And then tutorial start with, hey, this is how you can export to YAML or JSON. Great. And then vast majority of the examples below cannot be exported to JSON or YAML or any other format but pickle itself. It's kind of
Right.
like, okay, but why? So I have a feeling, and this is me, that the purpose of pickle is for... So pickle can transform to pickle, if that makes sense. Kind of like convert templates into same format but with the actual values. And then you can adopt pickle format in your applications, and that makes perfect sense. It's actually pretty good. But then for formatting to other languages, I did not buy it yet. I might be wrong.
So generating from JSON schemas, the pickle templates is the real power. Okay. Like when I looked at this, the only reason I could think this was interesting was I could define a pickle file, and if I'm needing to use that configuration for multiple types of apps, one that's going to pull in like the property list format that you would typically use in a Mac-based app. And I'm also going to go ahead and pull it in to a Spring Boot app at the same time. Like I need these same configurations, and I can splat out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's a killer.
Right, that's useful. But I don't know, now Sebastian's bringing up pickle Kates. Had you heard about that?
No, I haven't used that one. Not yet. I'm still in a phase of exploring it, very early phase.
Okay, I can't find it, and we're pickleball, all the pickleballs. How did they get pickle to, okay, well, I know how they got there, but anyway. New configuration language. Is it worth it? I don't know. Is it just one of those things, hey, we open sourced it, somebody else please deal with it? I don't know. Is that it? I don't know. It's interesting. Like I'll leave it at that. It is interesting. It's just, is it what I need? I don't know.
You know, I generate opinion about something based on what are the examples that you're showcasing. Like if you go back to that homepage, right? That gives you an idea of what they're trying to do in a way. And like if you keep on that screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is just doing top to bottom for the sake of getting JSON or for the sake of getting YAML sounds silly to me. And the advantage seems to be, okay, but kind of this can be, you can export to any format so that random applications that expect random formats will be happy, right? Assuming that you have such a need. I don't know. Too early for me to say. I'm probably negative for no good reason.
Yeah. That's okay. Pickle. Picklelang.org. I think Fabric. This is an AI thing. I haven't gone into it yet. It's an open source framework for augmenting humans using AI. It made no sense to me. But you can do whatever with it. I don't know. So I haven't played with it yet. Might look at it later. The videos, since you're gone, we'll get all the AI stuff here at the end. Your AI is not going to replace you. Devs using AI will.
It's mostly rumbling. I hear too many people being scared. AI will replace me and things like that. And I strongly believe, I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon, right? Nobody can predict 10 years from now, but you're not going to be replaced.
Yep.
You'll be replaced by other people. And this one is I rarely adopt something that becomes literally daily workflow of mine, right? And Nix is now, I start Nix shells at least 10 times a day.
I will say that, and I sent you a message, and I'll go ahead and say it now. I did a video for this yesterday that's coming out next week of how to use Nix shell with Jenkins. It's not what I would do in a normal Jenkins world, but it's if I'm doing something to figure out, okay, how do I want to do this, then I know exactly at the end how I want to build something out. quickly.
So I didn't like that video created a lot of confusing questions, mostly because I wasn't good at explaining. I don't think that first I would not use Nix as a replacement for my application environments. It's not replacing Kubernetes and it's not replacing any of those things. And I don't feel like Nix has a place in pipelines either, because pipelines are designed these days to operate on top of containers, right? My use case for Nix shell, to be more precise, because Nix is many, many things, is I do not want to clutter my laptop with a bunch of tools. I go to this repo, start Nix shell, and I get all the tools I need. I do not necessarily need that when working with pipelines, because pipelines are already designed to give me such features, mostly through containers, right? So it's very easy to say, okay, run this in this container, run that to this in this container. But when working locally, that's a bit more painful. Our laptops are not designed to be pipelines. And so my use case is mostly my laptop.
Well, that's when I did the video, I was like, look, if you're using Kubernetes, if you're using any kind of container runtime at all, Nix isn't for you. But if you have bare metal or VMs and you're just trying to figure out what to do, and you're not wanting to, or maybe you can't find that RPM to install on a Fedora-based machine, but it's available here and I can pull it in. It's like those kinds of things that they can speed things up a lot.
It's also, the big thing is interoperability, right? Like one of the things when I switch to what I do in public, right? I very often do things and create gists and say, okay, you can reproduce this, right? And the only thing I cannot really say you can reproduce this is, here's a command to install XYZ, whatever that is, right? With Nix, I can say that, because it just simply works, right? Otherwise, I would need to say, okay, but if you're macOS user, then use brew install, and hopefully, if you will not use that in the future, uninstall it, which you will almost certainly forget. And if you're Windows this, and if it's Linux, then there are 57 different variations. This kind of works everywhere, right? To me, that's the use case. I can have the tools I want temporarily, no matter the OS.
There is a good chance we're probably going to do a podcast talking more about this. Not showing, but talking about, because again, I'd been gone when I got the new M2 Mac Studio. I was trying to install everything via brew, everything, right? There's still casks that I won't be able to do with Nix, and that's fine. But anything that's CLI, man, I'm going to move everything to Nix because it just makes too much sense.
I was struggling with that because my laptops had, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of CLIs, and it's just silly. And I'm very pedantic about laptop, things needs to be in order right there. So after a while, I literally went and uninstalled brew list. Here's the list, and I created the script that goes through every item in a list and uninstall it except for Git and a few others. So my laptop now has no tools except for Nix, of course.
Right, and that's the key part. So I'd been pushing on that one, and it's like, I don't need it. And then you did the video. It's like, dang, now I need to do it. So anyway, Nix. 2 with Whitney, you did scanning and signing artifacts. Assuming all those are good to go. Are you guys getting close to finishing up this season?
So we are. It turned up that the final episode happens the same week as KubeCon Paris. So we are probably going to, not probably, Whitney just arranged it all. We are going to do it live from KubeCon, one of the stages in KubeCon.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that we will be at VMware folks or Broadcom folks, whatever you're calling yourself, lended us 2.5 hours in their...
2.5 hours? Wow.
Yeah, because we need to go through all the choices, right?
That's right. It's the last
live
one.
demo of everything, explain everything and go through everything, right? So it takes time.
Very interesting. Well, that sounds like fun. So...
Yeah.
Here comes the
so
AI.
So if you're in KubeCon, You can come there, ask questions, anything. It's live, with live audience.
Okay. So let's get into the AI section real quick. Kong announced yesterday an open source AI gateway with multi-LLM support. If you listen to the episode from this week when we were talking with Patrick, he was talking about these kinds of things. So Kong has now open sourced a gateway. A few days before that, BaseMind had open sourced a gateway. I believe this one it's actually had been open sourced before that. This one's MIT. I haven't looked at Kong's to see how it's licensed. I forgot to mention this. On GitButler, I want to go back there real quick. Sorry. This one is interesting. If we take a look at, is that GitHub? Yes. Their licensing. I view the license. Functional source license, version 1, MIT change license. What does this mean?
What is functional source license? Never heard of that.
Okay, it doesn't really matter, but let's just do this. Let's go to the bottom where the change license is. On the 2nd anniversary of the date we make the software available, the software will become available under the MIT license. On that date, the terms and conditions above automatically terminate and the following terms become effective, which is then standard MIT. So basically It is not BSL, it's a permission-based license. No competition, blah, blah. For your internal use and access, for non-commercial education, non-commercial research, and in connection, blah, 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 blah. So basically 2 years, now I don't know if the date has started yet, 2 years after its release, however they define that, it will then be MIT licensed.
That's an interesting approach.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Sorry, I meant to talk about that when we were there and I forgot. Kong and there. So now we've got these gateways that can talk to multiple models at the same time. I'm not ready to try that out yet. I don't have enough power to do that. So these things are coming and they're coming fast. There was a conversation actually over in Slack today. I can't remember the gentleman's name, talking about transcribing all of the podcast and being able to search for things in some RAG way of doing it. And I was like, number one, I used to do that, used to do transcripts, and it would take an extra 6 to 8 hours to transcribe because I was doing it by hand. And now we got Whisper. It's better, but it's still not right. And I think if I wanted to be able to import into a model or do a RAG thing with it, I would still need to slice it up correctly. And
so is gateway something in this context that allows you to say, okay, now do this through this model and that through that model, or it's making those decisions for you?
I don't know because I haven't looked at these yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be that type of. Well, Kong, I would imagine that is what they're going to do. Because
I'm interested in latter kind of like, okay, I'm using this model.
Yeah.
And this model's job is to figure out where to get information from, right? Kind of like, I'm not a model that knows everything. I know how to find stuff.
Right. It's a delegation
or know
model.
whom to speak with, exactly.
Right.
And and to do it intelligently. I do not really want to tell anything. Hey, now go to Azure AI
this
for
model.
this and go here for that. And that's something that I expect models will be able to do.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy to do those things.
Yep. Let's see. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's all coming. It's all coming fast. That's the key part there. There's a demo from AWS Samples called Promptus, which if you were to look at the picture, you have to stand up all of this stuff to actually use this.
That's
the AWS way.
Exactly. To be expected.
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting to see how they're doing it. So anyway, that's called Promptus. Last time we were talking about how can we do extension, or how can I only have extensions load up in certain workspaces. There's profiles in Visual Studio Code, and the profiles will allow you to enable extensions.
Nice, that's
so
cool.
That's easy.
Especially now with all the AI tools that everybody's installing left and right. Yeah.
Yep. Well, in fact, I was working on another video to where I was doing just some Java stuff. I figured, okay, well, let me go ahead and set up a profile just for this framework because it's a different Java framework. So I only put in just the Java extensions, and that was it. And it was great. And it ran really freaking fast because all the other extensions were turned off. So
Can you set a profile in a repo kind of, when I open this project, this profile is loaded?
I think settings JSON would allow you to do that, but I haven't tried it yet. Right? Because you can do it in a workspace. So you'd actually have to load the workspace, which would come from the settings JSON file that would then load up. But I think the answer is yes. I haven't tried it yet.
Because that would be kind of almost like similar to Nix, right?
Yep.
I go to a repo and say Nix shell, and whatever is required to work in that repo is there. And if I could set, and I probably can, Visual Studio Code to do the same, hey, open this project. And whatever extensions that I don't have are installed, and whatever other extensions are disabled, something like that would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah. The thing I like about it is I only want this stuff to be here. And that's the key part. Even if you may have everything else cached, everything else is there. It's just when this comes up, I only want these things. That's it. Nothing else. There was I found out about Mind Mac. You have to be running at least Ventura, so I can't show it on this machine. The free version, you can install this through Brew. This and the next one you can install through Brew. And it's just a nice Mac-only interface. Now, the thing that's interesting here, and the picture shows it pretty well on the right-hand side, is you can set a profile for the conversation, or you can set a global profile. I like all the bells and whistles in MindMac. I've got it on my other machine, which has Sonoma on it, and it works really well. The free version only keeps 5 conversations, and there's one other item. The pay for this is, I think, and right now they've got 30% off if you use Welcome 30, but buy the license is $29 for one seat.
That's per device. Yeah.
Yeah, for per device.
Perpetual, right?
Perpetual. Pay once, use forever. Yep.
Oh, nice.
But it does include 1 year of updates. So here's the way I think about it is it includes the 1 year, but there will probably be, after that 1 year, you may need to pay a lower fee just to keep updates coming. That's reasonable. That's not a subscription. I'm fine with that kind of pricing model. It works really well. I like it a lot. The next one is LM Studio, which just gives you the ability to search for models and will tell you whether or not, this is the big thing, it tells you whether or not the model that you're looking at will run on your machine or not. Meaning, do you have enough memory? Do you have enough, whatever it is that you need, it will tell you whether or not it works. And unfortunately, again, on this machine, I can't check it out. But LM Studio, you can install, again, through Brew, if you're using Brew.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. What do we have here? Oh, yeah. I saw Patrick post this today, Rubra, developing your AI assistants locally. I haven't had time to play with it yet, but you can basically run a full stack. It's funny, where was the... yeah, here it is. Rubra is a full stack OpenAI implementation designed for local development. So it'll run local models, or you can have it reach out and do things. But everything's built in. It's all right there. So you can do your development fully locally, which is pretty cool. But I just saw it about 2 hours ago, so I haven't had time to play with it yet. Building assistants. That would be the cool thing.
You cannot do that if you buy baseline Macs.
No.
Because of the disk space, kind of. It's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Well, you can. You're just always throwing it away all the time, which we're getting ready to get into in just a minute. It's an easy thing to install, one command line. But again, never run curl and piping to sh ever. Just understand what you're downloading first, take a look at it, and then you can come back and do this if you would like. Just saying. Charm, yes, that Charm, has a command line. They've had it for a while that interacts with AIs. Now, I was willing to demo this a little bit today, but I'm not going to be able to get to that point. What's interesting about this is it will retain history, and you can recall history. So you could set up a conversation, and it'll save it with a hash, and you can recall that hash and pick up your conversation from that point. Under the hood, they're using SQLite to maintain the conversations.
that's the pain point of CLI-based tools like that, right? If you write the
shut
code
it down.
yourself,
Yep.
it's up to you to maintain the history, right? That's up to you. If you use browser, history is there, but CLI simply it's one shot. It forgets what you did. So
Yep.
this is nice.
And it works really well. And there's a few things. I want to spend some time with it a little bit more, so I'm not having to waffle my way through it. But there were a few things that maybe I can get this machine updated this weekend to where I can run it. It'll run locally here, but I don't like how it runs. But here's the big thing for this week on Ollama. So Ollama this week, which is what I've been using for everything. Number one, gave a Windows preview out that came in 0.1.25, but in 24 they added OpenAI compatible. So think S3 compatible, right? You have a lot of vendors that provide S3 compatible endpoints. Well, now Ollama gives you OpenAI compatible endpoints. So going back to MindMac would not have connected to Ollama prior to 0.1.24. So now you have all these tools that are used to talking to OpenAI. Well, now they can talk directly to Ollama. You just give it the endpoint for your Ollama server.
Nice.
Which is really nice. So let's get into the quick demo for today. What we are building is and I need to stop that screen. I need to present one more time. Share screen, entire screen. What we are building today is a Victor LLM.
Do I get? Can I sue you afterwards for copyright?
Copyright infringement? Sure, why not? So what we have, and this is something that, again, going back to the Patrick episode this week, it really came clear to me once I actually started playing around with this. And I've got a video, again, if you're watching the Clobby's channel at all, I've also got how to build custom models using Jenkins. If that's interesting to you, that comes out on Tuesday. But look at this file and tell me what you see, Victor. I have a from Mistral. We're going to use Mistral as the model for today, not OpenHermes, just because. So from Mistral, what does that remind you of?
Very Docker file-like, right?
Yeah, very Docker file-like. Notice how I've named it. It's called Victor file. The default names are actually called model file. Now this is for Ollama specifically. So if you're working with here's what I like about Ollama. It feels very Docker-like. So I have a from, and then I can set some values here. Well, where do I get these values? Well, if you go to the documentation on Ollama, there's the Ollama model file. And there's the instructions. So you have from, parameter, template, system, adapter, license, and message. We'll select a parameter here. I'm setting the temperature down to 0.3 to make it a little bit low. Higher is more creative. Let's get more creative with Victor. So we'll just make it a 1.0. Let's see how it answers. I'm setting the context window. I had it set to 4096. This controls how many tokens the LLM can use as a context to generate the next token. So I'm doing more. So I'm doing 16K instead of 4K. We'll see if that plays out or not. I haven't tried it this large. And then I'm setting the system prompt or a system message. I say system prompt. So I say, and what I did is I took your bio that we have on the website.
Oh, I want to see now whether AI is going to complain by telling you, you're wrong. Victor was kicked out of Docker Captains Group.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take that out.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Are you still a member of Google Developer Experts?
There, I think I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, so we can see this. So you are Victor Farsik, a member of the Google Developer Experts and a published author. Your big passions are blah 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 blah. You often speak at community gatherings and conferences. You publish the books blah 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 blah. Your random thoughts and tutorials can be found at the blog that. You are acting as an assistant. That's the system message.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me start up a terminal, and I'm going to say Ollama create Victor. I'll go ahead and tag it with latest just because. -F, and then Victor file. And it's done.
Was that a container image that built, or?
Well, it's a model file that built, a model that built. So if I say Ollama list, now I can see Victor latest. It's still about the same size as Mistral because we haven't done anything to it, right? But it is a different ID, right? Because we've given it information to work with. So now, let's see. So if I go ahead and start or run, well, I'm going to run Victor. Wait for it to get there. Okay, there we go. So we say hi. So let's see how Victor responds.
The correct response should be, what do you want?
Okay, then let's do that. Okay, all right, we'll get to that in just a second because I wanted to show, because I haven't tried that yet, so I wanted to do it live because that's what this is for. So it spits back all the things that we gave it information about, right? And then when I played with this before, it did not give me, if you have a specific question in mind, if not, here are common topics I can explore. Well, this is interesting because I hadn't seen this before. This is pretty cool. Okay. Could you talk about each one of these things?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. I'll say bye. So let's edit this. But before we edit it, what you're saying is, okay, we actually need to tell it, don't do, what was it? Oh, message. So we actually need to prime it a little bit with what you would say.
Okay.
All right. So now what's interesting here is if you look at the notes for the bottom of the model file is not case sensitive. That's fine. But again, working with a Docker file, you're used to setting that instruction and then whatever as all uppercase. Now this one, instructions can be in any order. That scares me, but that's okay. But putting from at the top is easily readable. So let's go ahead and give it the messages here at the bottom. So if I say message, and then what do I need to say? I need to say user and assistant. So user says hi, and message assistant is what do you want? Don't you know that I'm too busy to talk with you? Okay? Right? Just plain and simple. Let's see if that works or not. So let's go ahead and rebuild the, I've said model and I've said images before. It's like, because it feels so Docker-like.
Exactly.
So I create it. Let's clear it. And let's run Victor again. Hi. Oh, okay, so it actually rendered it out. So if I type it now.
Okay, so that's just literally a prompt that you will get, or initial messages. Something
Yeah,
like
so it's actually building the chat history at the very beginning. So let me ask you a question. What question should I ask you? Not that it matters.
What do you think of JavaScript?
What do you think of JavaScript?
That's not me.
Okay. Are you sure? Because you've said before that JavaScript is
silly.
No.
No, that sounds just right. Apologies for any confusion earlier. I may have expressed some frustration or sarcasm with talking about JavaScript in the past. Okay, then the rest is not really.
Okay. So anyway, this is just...
What would be very interesting for me is, and somebody might be doing that already, if I could somehow, in a safe way, point a model to everything I did. I don't know, to my Gmail, to my Google Drive, to, in my case, to videos, and kind of let it really create my persona, right? Beyond just a prompt.
I
that
think
would be absolutely awesome.
I
And
think
scary.
that's what exactly, and I think that's what this Rubra is. right? This is meant to point at doing all the things, right? Give it the, in fact, if you were to take a look at the docs, that's what, because I did take a look at the docs. Oh, I went to a different page. There we go. You engage, blah, blah, blah. Quick start guide. That's what I want. You need an M series Mac. Okay, that I have. 16 gig of RAM, 10 gig of space. So we're all good. Now, it depends on Docker, which I thought was interesting. So it's using Docker under the hood to do things.
Actually, I like that. To me, that sounds better than it. I would like all models to do that. Just kind of like pull the model and whatever you need as a container.
Yep. So prereqs.
It's easier for me to deal with containers than random things on my file system.
Yep. So it talks, but see, I don't have Docker installed locally because I don't run Docker desktop.
Okay.
Right. So I'd have to get.
Well.
Yeah, I know. But then it goes to, so that's what I think this is. So if you're using it, assistance. So there's viewing assistance, creating a new assistant, tools. So knowledge, you can upload files here.
Yeah, but this is the case where actually I feel like, and I know that that's scary, but some kind of a service something that would just kind of constantly monitor my activity. And I know how scary this sounds, but constantly more and just kind of keep learning about me based on what I keep doing, right?
No, I get it.
Like my Git repos, for example, right?
Well, isn't that what cron is for?
Cronus?
Cron.
Ah,
just have cron run every 5 minutes. Look for any changes.
Cron job. Okay.
Cron job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, that's true. Rancher Desktop can do Docker. Give Flowwise a try. It's no code, good start, different vector stores, document loader. Oh,
Nice. I'll try it.
I haven't heard of it. Let's see. Let me pull it up. Anyway, that was just sort of a little doofus low-code LLM apps builder. There it is. Huh. Nodal. Interesting. Okay, what's their license? Okay, look, I'm going to go off on them again. GitHub is upper G, upper H. God, I don't work for GitHub, right? But it just bugs me. Apache 2.0. Oh. Very interesting. Flowwise.
Nice.
NPM. You make me sad.
It's visual. You're not writing code.
I
Anyway.
know. But still. Self-deployed. Interesting. Oh, I wonder what the others is. Railway render. Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, that's a good one. Flowwise. I'll remember that. So, is that it? Do we want to do any other silly tests with, what are you doing?
Huh?
Nothing. Or do we want to do any other silly test on the model? I mean, it's interesting that you can actually change the model. Like if I had said hi to Mistral, it just gives me a really bland message. Whereas giving a system message.
That's kind of, that's great and disappointing to me at the same time. I mean, I'm not now talking about Olama, but in general, yeah, you can customize the prompts, but I haven't seen real effects of that, to be honest. It's more cosmetic, I feel.
It is. Which is fine. I mean, it's a start.
Yeah.
But then if we can actually, like what Ingen was saying, if we can get a vector store in, start dumping all the data in, and then make queries against that, man, that would be...
Yeah.
It's like, here, watch this folder, watch this repository, watch this whatever.
That's almost like a dream. Imagine, in the past, people, if you're on a certain position, you would get assistant, and then assistant had to spend tremendous amount of time learning your habits, right? I want an assistant that knows me, kind of like knows my habits, knows when to bother me, when not to bother me, how to do things in certain ways because I'm used to it and all those things. I want an assistant that can read my mind. That's what I want. And I gave up on humans for that.
Well, and humans cost more money. Of course, we'll see how much this actually costs to run, and then we can
Oh,
decide.
this will accumulate for sure. We will be paying through our noses for those things. It's similar, like, streaming. Everybody was happy. Oh, when Netflix arrived and for $9.99 or whatever the price was, I have stuff, right? And now everybody has 7 streaming services, right? And pays for each one of those.
Yeah. And then people are starting to get rid of them now because they realize they don't need all those.
Yeah, I had to put a hard limit in my house, kind of 3 excluding Prime. Prime doesn't count.
Right, because it's included.
I cannot live without
Yeah.
Prime, not for movies, because this is just the worst streaming service, but it's simply there. I need free
Yeah.
delivery, right?
Yeah, I've got Prime and I've got Max. And the only reason I have Max, I don't pay for it. It's included with my AT&T subscription
There
for
you
cell
go.
phone. So it's like, I think I only pay for 3 others. But why do I even need that many? It's like, I don't know. I don't watch that much TV. Okay, so that was our hack at trying to get a Victor model in place. I don't think we failed, but it's just an interesting way of looking at things now. The key point, especially if you're working with Llama, it feels very Docker-like. So if you
That's nice. That's
if you understand
kind of familiar.
Docker, you can sort of get to that next step. And mods, the charm thing, will connect up to a Llama because of the new OpenAI compatibility layer. So
Nice.
now if you're just trying to figure, now if we can just get the same answer every time, that will never happen because it's generative.
I mean, you wouldn't get the same answer from a human every time either.
No, but you would get this. You would hope. Well, in a short
But
amount
if
of
you ask a
time.
specific question, like when were you born, you will get the same answer, maybe not in same words. But even then, you will not get the same answer literally in same words, right? From a
Right.
human, I'm talking about.
So that you actually bring up an interesting thing. Let's pull this up for just a second. Let's ask, when were you born? Oh, okay, yeah. When was George Washington born? Let's ask. Okay, I don't know if that's right or not. Okay, let's try this. When was the person, Victor Farsuk, born? Oh, now see, he's got really confused because like they're still talking about George. Again, this is the Mistral model, which is the reason why I picked Mistral is it's fully open source, Apache 2.0, fully open source message. But anyway, I had to try. See, this is where we can waste so much time. And it's one thing, like if you're writing code and you expect something to happen, you can write tests to see if it works or not. There's no way you can write a test for this.
No.
At least not fully generative. That's where training it on your stuff, on your data, on your repos. But see, again, I think that's going to be a problem is that it was true for this amount of time. And now time has moved along, and what was true back here is no longer true today.
But it's kind of partly part of the problem of many of the models. They're fixed, right? I'm really looking for more. So there is that component I said before that I want the model to understand what who I am and what I expect from myself, so that it can give me something similar. But there is also that I expect models actually not to be only based on themselves, but to, like Bard. One of the reasons why I like Bard, which is now Gemini, is that I haven't confirmed, but I feel that actually it combines its answers from itself, from the model, with scraping internet and things like that, right? And can give me more accurate or more up-to-date information.
We'll probably get there at some point.
Oh, we're just beginning. We're just
Uh-huh.
beginning. Now, the question is really, do you go into wait and see mode, or you start playing now? Now it's too early to really get much meaningful things. we're getting there. We'll get there soon. Now the question is kind of, do I want to be prepared in advance for whatever is coming, right?
Right. Which is why I'm playing with this, even though it's silly. It's like, oh, this sort of makes sense. I can understand. Taking it at a slow pace. At a slow pace. I don't need to build Sora images today. By the way, if you think about it, people are like, oh man, I can't believe the videos. It's like, look, a video is nothing more than a lot of images strung together.
Yeah, but look, I mean, if you look at, I remember like a year or something ago, there was AI-generated video of one of the actors, Will Smith, I think, eating spaghetti.
Yeah, it was Will Smith. Yeah, it was horrible.
And that was so bad, right? And if you compare now that with Sora, and it's been only a year, the advancement is amazing, right? And I know that videos that OpenAI put for Sora are really handpicked out of thousands to represent it in best light possible. But still, it's been a year since Will Smith is eating spaghetti, and the world, the whole technology changed already so much that I cannot even imagine what we'll see in 5 years.
5 years? Another year?
One business that I can tell you from Sora that will disappear very, very quickly, that's those services that give you stock footage.
Oh, it's stock footage. It's gone.
Yeah,
like,
kind of like, why would I search for stock footage? Not today, but very soon. If I can just say, hey, I need a footage of XYZ.
I'm flying over Paris on approach into London.
Exactly.
Show me what I see out my window. And then you just wait. That's going to be cool.
That's going to be really cool. I mean, I'm tempted, not now, but not long from now, to start using that kind of as stock footage for videos.
Yeah. But if we can just have better open source models, that could even give me pixelated stuff, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to, like Midjourney. Midjourney is ruling the roost on the images today. I just don't want to pay them that much money. Not to mention trying to get the prompts right. It's a different conversation. But
it's more a question that, to me, it's not that much about money. I went on and off Midjourney quite a few times, and I feel that we are still not there that I get value from it, right? So I would be more than willing to pay to Midjourney money so that I can generate, I don't know, like images for presentations or I don't know, like thumbnails for videos or whatever I pay other people to do right now. I would be more than happy to do that through Midjourney. It does not work yet, I feel. Or actually, I've seen people doing some amazing stuff with Midjourney. Like I've seen a photo that won some competition without them even knowing that it's generated with Midjourney. And when I listened to interview with the guy who created it, he worked for a week on that, right? And that's great if that's your profession, but that's not me. I just want something that I can do in a couple of minutes, right? And I don't get good results in a couple of minutes with Midjourney, to be honest. It's just not good. But otherwise, I would pay the monthly fee.
Yeah. We're past the top of the hour. We're past the top of the hour. Sorry to keep everybody too long here. We should be back next week. I don't think you're still home next week because it's not.
Oh yeah,
Paris
still
yet,
Paris.
So that's that. All right, everybody. We will. And if you haven't joined the Slack workspace yet, go do that. And if you have ideas like FlowWise, I'll try to remember that one. I want to try that. And if we can actually build a corpus around something, it's like we can actually ask it locally. I mean, I paid $1,500, $1,600 for my M2 Mac Studio base model, and if it will do these kinds of things that we were just talking about, I'll wait till December and buy another. Well, at that point, hopefully the M3 Mac Studio will be out, maybe even cheaper again. They just keep dropping everything in price. Anyway. Oh, my audio. Do you still hear me okay? Or am I broken?
I thought that it might be me, so I did not comment anything.
You hear me okay?
Your audio was horrible.